This week on Humanity Sells, we're bringing you a must-listen interview from our State of ServiceNow Virtual Summit. Follow along as Nate interviews Michael Nordstrom, who's the head of partner marketing for the Americas, and learn 5 ways that partners can remain relevant in the ServiceNow ecosystem. These tips can be applied to any digital transformation business that's in a competitive space. So take notes. You're going to get some gold. Here we go. Welcome to the Humanity Sells podcast, where we talk about the marketing revolution that's happening in tech consulting and how the best businesses are elevating their brand, amplifying their message, and selling more by being more human. We're your hosts, Brandon Triola.
And I'm Nate Nitty. Let's get into it. Today, we have our friend, Michael Nordstrom, Director of Partner Marketing for the Americas at ServiceNow, talking about 5 ways partners can remain relevant inside the Now ecosystem. And a little descriptor for you. This is what the session is about. As partners seek to win trust among their potential buyers, they can start by listening to what ServiceNow users really want, empathizing with their pains, and telling a better story of how their solutions will help improve the lives of their audience. So a little bit about Mr. Nordstrom here. If you do not have the pleasure of knowing him, this is a man you need to know. From deep south, Montgomery, Texas, been in technology marketing for probably longer than I've been around. Probably forgotten more about marketing technology than I will ever learn. He is a family man first and foremost. He drives an incredible truck. He can tell you about that sometime. And he is an incredible golfer that does not take his game too seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Nordstrom from ServiceNow joining us for the State of ServiceNow Summit.
Thank you, Nate. Well, some of that was completely untrue. I'm not an incredible golfer. I am absolutely from Montgomery, Texas, and I have been in tech probably longer than you've been alive. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take that as a compliment or not. I suppose you're only as old as you feel, so I'll assume it's a compliment. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, don't forget the second part of that where I said you've probably forgotten more about tech marketing than I will ever learn. That was the key there, which is true. All right. So ServiceNow, tons of roles internally, support functions, marketing functions, even within marketing at this large company, lots of different ways you can slice marketing. So for the people that are unaware of, partner marketing for the Americas, could you just give us a little overview of you and your role, your team, and what you guys are focused on right now?
Yep. So having been in tech marketing forever and a day, as you just described, when I think about what I've done before to start this explanation, meaning other companies that I've been at that are very channel centric and where we are now at ServiceNow, I describe ServiceNow as a maturing channel model. And what I mean by that is that, we've worked with channel partners pretty much since the company started, but it wasn't until in the last, I'll say 5 or 6 years that we really wanted to have partners do more than just deliver an implementation. We wanted to have them help drive opportunities, co-selling, things like that. And the relevance of that is because that's where my specific role comes in. I was hired just over 6 years ago and was the first partner marketing person here in the Americas. And the task is simple. The objective is simple. The task is not always that simple. That is that my team is here to help partners drive scale and provide them tools, resources, sometimes funding, sometimes it's just information to help them go drive marketing that is going to build their business and practice around ServiceNow, which obviously at the end of the day, as it benefits them, their services, their license sales, then benefits ServiceNow. That's the core. With ServiceNow, as I describe us, in my opinion, as a continuing maturing channel model, a lot of what we also do, honestly, is we help partners connect with other parts of our organization, because while we're partner marketing, we're absolutely not the only team inside ServiceNow that is engaging partners, doing things with them, right? Organizations across the company are engaging partners. Partners are vitally important to our business, and we're doing more and more with them every day. So that's part of the role we play. One of the hardest things for any partner to do with a vendor is to figure out, who they're supposed to talk to, who they interact with, who can help them, whatever. So we provide a conduit to help them do that and engaging them in opportunities that come their way through other marketing activities that maybe we're not involved with, but where a partner can be adding value, both whether that be monetary or in most cases, right, through their IP, but where it brings value to ServiceNow and our customers, because that's why partners are there. We cannot survive. We cannot get to where we want to be without partners in the ecosystem that's supporting us today.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's right in line with what Mr. McDermott, our fearless leader, has been saying. It's everything is about the partner and enabling the partner. So you guys have a big job, an important job, and I think what's challenging about your role, because you said the objective is easy, the task is not. Is so many disparate kinds of partners, certainly doing similar things in a way on the core function of ServiceNow, but different business models, different geographies around the globe, different perspectives on verticals and the kinds of work they want to do in the app store and managed services and implementations. I mean, you guys have it's a tall task. That's what I'm saying. You guys have a big role to play. Thinking about all of that mix of the 2,000 some odd global partners that are out there right now, and how, there's a fixed supply of work that needs done, and there's an ever expanding partner ecosystem that's working to get that work from users. Could you just describe a little bit what staying relevant as a partner means? And how do you stay relevant to users? What does that mean? And why is that important inside of the ServiceNow ecosystem for partners to be really concerned with?
Yeah. So before I answer that, I'm going to reverse the comment you just made.
Okay.
You said there's a fixed supply of work to be done and this ecosystem of partners. The challenge that we really have today as ServiceNow, is probably the fastest growing company ever, as the size that we are, is the reverse of that. It's a fixed supply of personnel and partners to get the work done, and an ever expanding list of tasks that need to get done for us and our customers. Right. I mean, and that's what Rise Up is about, which I think you're going to talk to some other folks within ServiceNow about Rise Up, because we need personnel that understand ServiceNow and the platform to help the customers that are our customers achieve the outcomes they're looking for. So what does it mean to stay relevant? And so the diversity of the ecosystem, it is a broad spectrum of partners, right? We have global systems integrators, service providers, small regional partners. We have partners that are ISV partners only, and strategic alliance partners that are in most ways bigger than us, where we're in some ways a partner to them versus the reverse. So massive difference in how they go to market. The one area where it's fairly consistent, because we are a more complex offering than selling a widget, if you will. We require technical capabilities, and so you find organizations that are working with ServiceNow to be more tech heavy than marketing heavy. And so, right, you've got maybe a small group of salespeople, but then this larger group of pre-sales engineers, technicians, architects, on the technical side, delivery, implementation, employees, things like that. So big organization of that side because of the work that's required to get that done. And so when I think about what it takes to stay relevant, if I think about that on the marketing side and then tie that back into the other side, on the marketing side, partners, and sometimes they struggle with this, right? Because they're not marketers by nature. Most small businesses, or most businesses, do what they do well, and that may not be marketing. But especially when I think about our smaller partners, it's hard to drive a marketing initiative when you're not going after a volume play in small business, right? So what is marketing when you're going after I'll say a finite set of clients, because we focus in the larger space of enterprise and commercial? A lot of times that's a sales motion, or it might be event strategies. But there's a lot more to marketing than that. So how do you stay relevant? Well, for me, the first thing that I think of, content, right? I mean, all of the data today says that there are, up to possibly 17, 20 different personas in a buying center that are influencing and making decisions around what's going to happen. And that spans, because we cover workflows across customer, employee, IT, everything for the most part. You're talking to a very diverse audience, right? A technical IT person versus a business leader who's just trying to solve a business challenge they have, versus possibly someone in procurement who's simply trying to get the best deal. So you've got to think about what's the content that's going to help each of those individuals specifically drive an influence that says, yeah, ServiceNow and this specific solution is going to be what helps me solve the challenges that I have. And so you really have to deliver that content and push it out. I mean, and content's been king for a while now. I think content continues to grow as far as the need, because outside of the number of people, the sales engagement continues to get further down the funnel. So content is so important, making sure people are, and there's so much out there, making sure they're seeing the right content, and that right content is from you, and that content takes them on the journey they need to go down. So it's not just you've got all of this great content, but you have 5 pieces. How do you make sure you get that first piece that's the right piece to introduce them to ServiceNow and you to be the first one they see? It's really hard to do. And then bring them down that journey to when they're now available, ready to talk to you as a salesperson or to your sales team. So yeah, I mean, I think content is one of the key things. And obviously in doing so, it's the simple ideas of taking digital marketing and leveraging it, which many partners don't like to do, don't do well, or don't invest enough in. And that is, the social side of things, whether it be free or paid, content marketing, content syndication, display advertising, just simple things to make sure your message is out there versus the things people always think of, which I want to get in front of a customer. They still need to see your message. They still need to see your brand before they're going to decide to get in front of you. The other thing that I think about is on the backside of that, relevant, is once you've got them in the conversation, and you mentioned this, it's listening and then delivering on the outcomes that they need, right? If they're trying to deliver a better customer experience, don't go in thinking you know how to deliver that, because it might be different for this customer than it was the last customer, which you did a great job for. So listen to what it is they're actually telling you they need, what they're trying to accomplish, what their customers are telling them, and deliver those outcomes. Because if you don't deliver the outcomes, then they're going to find another partner. Move on, and you're no longer on the payroll, because if they don't deliver, if they're not successful, they're going to pay enough for ServiceNow. They need that to be a successful implementation.
So that's great. I mean, so many gold nuggets in there. Three quick summaries there. Content is king. Leverage digital marketing and social, and listen and deliver. 3 key takeaways there. That's awesome. Love it. It kind of dovetails right into my next thought that I want to put in front of you. So in our report this year, we uncovered some pretty good news for the state of the ecosystem. And it was that 75% of users are planning to increase their investment in the platform. And when you think about, just the economy, uncertainty, to have 3/4 of the ecosystem planning to increase investment, not just stay the same, but increase, that's huge. But I even think what was more interesting in the report was less than 2% signaled any decrease at all, which was crazy. I mean, it's just such a cool stat, gives you a little bit of certainty about the near term. And so if you are a partner who hears that, who's looking at that, and it's basically a signal that people are raising their hand saying, hey, I have money to spend with you. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. If you're a partner, how can you best put yourself in a position to be the partner that is chosen to receive those funds, to do the work, to, deliver for these users?
Well, so the first thing I'll jump out with, based on the research that you guys did and the outcome of that, meaning, very few people are spending less, almost everyone's spending more. That's where you see the Yes campaign with ServiceNow out in marketplace. And if you haven't seen it, you're missing it. But the concept of Yes is the fact, and the reason people are investing more in ServiceNow is because in the global economic environment we've had, people are trying to figure out how to cut costs. And a lot of products can help you do that. On the flip side of that, they're also saying, well, maybe I've had layoffs or whatever, and I need to be more efficient, more productive with the employee base that I still have, or I want customers to be more productive. Yes, from ServiceNow is that we allow you to do both, which is why you see those investment choices, because the customer is able to say, yes, I need to be more productive, and yes, I need to reduce cost, or whatever that equation might be. And the answer for us is yes, we can help you achieve both of those. So that's where I think that data comes from, and that's why we think that campaign is so relevant in the market space. But how do you become the partner of choice? So first of all, following on from the last discussion, if you've got a customer, if you deliver those outcomes, they're going to continue to work with you, right? I mean, you may have to rebid and get on an RFP or something to keep that business based on how their business model is and requirements. But if you've done a good job, they're probably going to stay consistent with you. But the thing that I think about, when you get a product like ITOM or ITSM or HR or whatever, it's not as simple as a product of HR, right? Within each of those licensing models, depending on which package, if you will, the customer goes with, there could be dozens, there's certainly more than 10 specific products that the customer can actually leverage of what they purchased, right? And so let's just say there's 20 and I bought ITSM. Within each of those solution sets they bought, there is a set of those products that, we've seen customers that have been the most successful, that they've used those specific set of products. And let's just say and I'm going to round this out. Let's just say out of ITSM and the 20 different things within ITSM that you get in that solution offering, there are 5 things that if you do those things, your ITS implementation and the outcomes you're likely going for are going to be most successful. You're going to more likely get what you're looking for. And so for partners, it's understanding, which we share that data with partners. We know what those top offerings are, products, if you will, within a product that customers need to implement to be successful. That's the first thing, right? Understand what those are. And as you're working with customers, you're doing implementations, or even if you're talking to a customer who is trying to get more out of the platform, understand where they are in leveraging those apps that are so critical to their success as a core to within the products that they have. Because if you're not selling and getting them to implement all of those, or if you're coming in as a follow-on to another, their own implementation or whatever, understanding how they're using those and if they are, and then helping them understand why it's so critical is probably key to then getting them back on the road to success and getting you to be that trusted advisor, because that is going to drive the outcomes. What that'll also do is help them understand within the product, everything else they can use, right, within that. And then that potentially opens doors to expanding the platform beyond the area of business they have. So instead of just ITSM, maybe they add HR into the mix because IT and HR are connected, right, with onboarding and offboarding and how all that works. So that's really, I think, the key is looking at those apps that are so critical to a customer's success, understanding those, and then delivering those or helping a customer deliver those, and then going from there.
It's awesome. You got that as a 4th takeaway here. Understand core success products and deliver on those. It's a great way to stay relevant. I love that. That's awesome. A few minutes left here. I'm going to ask you maybe, I got so many good questions for you. I got to figure out, I think with every session, people might hear me say this throughout the day. You've given so much pragmatic advice already. But I'd love to take it to the next level, just real specific. what are the most successful partners doing from a marketing perspective to stay top of mind with users? And what activities are partners doing that, this is kind of like a second part of the question. What are the most successful partners doing? And then what activities are partners doing that they think are helping, but is really hurting their efforts, and they need to change their thinking a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of combine a few things that I have and thoughts around that. And then the last question, what partners think they're doing what that are helping them but maybe hurting them. That's a hard one to judge without sitting at the partner, but I definitely have thoughts on that. And it's not rocket science, right? We've talked about content and taking them on that journey and delivering outcomes and doing, being that trusted advisor, making sure they're leveraging the platform and things that really are going to help them be successful. Those are basic. But again, coming back to the side of marketing and the role that I play in helping partners, and as a longtime marketer, what I think about when I think about what you just asked, number one is consistency. Number one, right? Don't go do some paid social campaign in January and then go back and do it in October. That's not going to work, right? If you're going to be on LinkedIn, be on LinkedIn. If you're going to pay for it routinely. Just figure out your budget that can keep you going consistently. Narrow your target if you need to, whatever. Make sure you're understanding posts, things like that. But you absolutely want to be consistent in your go-to-market effort. And if you're doing webinars, right, have a monthly webinar, have a webinar every 2 weeks, whatever. But drive that consistency because, again, it's really difficult. There's a lot of competition for share of voice. There's a lot of competition for customers' wallet, helping them understand who you are, how you can help them, and having them think of you. The time is right because they just saw something on LinkedIn that referenced a content piece that is going to help them. That's timing. And if you're not there in March because you're only doing January and October, then you've missed that. Move on. So that's the one thing. I also think it's really key to have informative content. And that is not just, telling them about you, but telling them about successes that you've seen with customers, whether that is absolutely identifying a customer name because they've given you permission to do so, or referencing a large global X customer that had these challenges and we've solved their problems with what, right? Customers want to know relevancy of how problems have been solved for their peers, also aligned to industry. So that aligns to size of business, right? Don't tell me a 500 employee company did great when I'm a 50,000 employee company. And don't tell me how telco is working when I might be in the manufacturing or consumer goods space, because there's some connection there, but maybe not enough. So think about that, the informative content pieces. So that's what I think about. So always on consistency in digital and making sure your content is just not about you and the solutions that you offer, but it's information that is relevant to them and the journey they may be on. And sometimes that doesn't really talk about you at all. It just has your logo on it. Number one. Number two, what do partners need to do and or what are they doing? And I'm going to tie these together that may not be working for them. I see a lot of companies try to bite off more than they can chew. They may be capable across the entire ServiceNow platform, but that doesn't mean you need to market across the entire ServiceNow platform, right? Where are you best? Where do you believe as you put a business plan together, you're going to get most of your opportunities? And that could be a region of the country. That could be a specific industry. That could be a specific workflow in IT or customer experience, whatever. But where do you think your opportunities are going to come because of where you've had success? Things that your marketing can leverage because you've got customer stories in that space. You've got solutions that you can really talk about or offerings in that space. But figure out what that is. Maybe that's 2 or 3 things, but it shouldn't be 10. And really market those. Because if you're able to sell those and you get in the door, do the things we've already talked about, then everything else will come. But if you're trying to spend your marketing dollars across 10 items, then you're going to be so thin, then you're going to be, maybe you're constantly in market, but your IT's guy is going to be January and October, because in February and March, you got to hit the customer experience guy. And then the other months, you got to hit the HR guy because you don't have enough budget to hit everything, the amount that you want. You never have enough budget. So think about what your priority is, what your business opportunity is, focus on those, and then know that the rest will come, because if you're doing your job right, you're going to get those opportunities. And I think that's the piece, is finding that sweet spot, not trying to do it all, and landing on that and being willing to stay focused. You're going to sell everything when you get there. You just don't have to market everything all the time. And I think that impacts partners because they're spread too thin. They're trying to tell everybody they can do everything as opposed to really leaning in on where they have success. And by the way, that impacts their ability with ServiceNow also, because people see all the things they can do, but they don't necessarily see them leaning in one area of the business. And as a partner, when you really lean in, that area of the business, whether it be the product side of product marketing, the business unit, or folks that specialize in our solution sales in that area of the space, they see you leaning in, they want to do more with you. But if you're kind of covering everything and you're not really that one expert, you may or may not get touched by them to go off and do additional things with them in a joint effort.
Man, wisdom just kind of flows out of you. It's like you don't even have to try, and you're just, just giving such great thinking for partners. We're out of time, but I'm going to summarize for the audience out there kind of what you said. I did a little rearranging while you were talking. This was so awesome. You're very generous with your thoughts and your time. Thank you for being on. 5 ways that partners can stay relevant. Consistent, informative content is king. That's number 1. Number 2, you got to leverage digital marketing and social. If you're not, what are you doing? Just to put it bluntly. Number 3, listening and delivering. What do they need? Then give them what they need. Number 4, understand the core success products. Even if you want to do all this other stuff, you got to understand what core products people want and need and deliver them. And number 5, this was the last one, you got to focus. You can't be all things, all people. Even if you can deliver and do that stuff and you want to, you got to focus, especially in the budget area and the messaging area, to create relevance and turn it into revenue. Mr. Nordstrom, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the wisdom that you have shared with us. Where can people find you if they want to just learn more about what you're doing? Any partners out there that want to connect? How would you like them to connect with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to connect with anyone that wants to find me on LinkedIn. It's Michael Nordstrom, and it's just right out there. I'm easy to find in ServiceNow. And I'm happy to connect with any partner out there as well, michael.nordstrom@servicenow.com. Just send me a note, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Nate, thanks for having me.
Yep. No problem. Glad you could be on. Up next, we have Trisha Halbert and Jim Taylor from ServiceNow as well, talking about Rise Up, how partners and users can make the most out of that program. So stay tuned. Mr. Nordstrom, thank you for the time. We'll see you.